And when we talk about India, we recently celebrated Azadi Ka Mahotsav. And just one day before that, Pakistan celebrated their 75 years of independence. Sir, जिस तरीके से हमने एक दिन पहले हमसे independence celebrate किया था, do you think in different aspects, Pakistan is actually ahead of us? Be it industrialization, be it education, or your unemployment, employment, and so on? What are your views on that? I hope you all are doing good, and today's video is actually very special because I just saw Director Sir moving on, and I thought to just go and talk and discuss about some important thing. Not an important thing, something that is actually right now in the current affairs. And the topic for the show would be...
I thought we were going to talk about the India and Pakistan both having 75 years this year.
Exactly. And when we talk about India, we recently celebrated Azadi Ka Mahotsav. And just one day before that, Pakistan celebrated their 75 years of independence. Sir, जिस तरीके से हमने एक दिन पहले हमसे independence celebrate किया था, do you think in different aspects, Pakistan is actually ahead of us? Be it industrialization, be it education, or your unemployment, employment, and so on? What are your views on that?
Well, you know what, first of all, Pakistan getting independence on 14th of August and us celebrating on 15th, it's a procedural issue.
Okay.
Because Pakistan is carved out of India. India is not carved out of Pakistan.
Absolutely.
So that's why, they had to be carved out first out of us. So leaving the procedure out, I don't think it has any significance of them being ahead or us being behind them.
Absolutely, sir. But at the same point, they claim that their unemployment rate is just 4.30%, whereas ours is 7.38%. What do you have to say about that?
I don't believe in the statistics that they give out. I think if we go by the neutral statistics today,
yes.
And we also take into account unemployment and underemployment.
Yeah.
But first of all, let's get it into our mind that we are 1.4 billion and they are just maybe 250 odd million. Global standards of what constitutes unemployment, I think again we are quite ahead of them.
Okay. And sir, specifically when it comes to the education sector, we now and then have been trying to actually focus more on the vocational training and more on the practical training. Whereas when we talk about Pakistan, they claim that they are a country which believes in the oldest or the traditional form of education. So what do you think, how is the effect of these two different approaches on the country entirely?
Well, first of all, the overall education literacy rate of Pakistan is far lower than the literacy rate of India. I mean, we are way ahead. Just imagine we both got independence on 15 August 1947, and then the employment rate of the country at that point in time was 17 odd %.
Yes.
Now we are touching, something
75.
like 75-80% varies from men and women.
Correct.
So 80% are higher for men, and they are still struggling in their 40s and 50s. Unemployment is very low there. But you have to again understand, do you know how many colleges and universities are there, Ankusha, in our country? You take a guess.
Thousands?
Yes, but how many?
Yes.
If you go by higher education institutions, you've got close to 50,000 higher education institutions in our country.
Yes.
If you compare that with Pakistan, they'd have only maybe 1,000 or 2,000 higher education institutions in their entire country. So they're 1/50th.
We are 50 times ahead of
50
them.
times ahead in terms of providing access to education.
Correct.
And some of our graduates, it is evident today, the world is talking about it. Be it Rishi Sunak coming out of India, but we take no credit for that. I mean, of course, he was abroad. But look at all the CEOs of top multinational corporations, which run and operate largely the global economy. Most of them come from India.
Yeah.
So that is a testimony to the education system in India.
Absolutely, sir. So there's a news often being heard that Imran Khan is banned for 5 years and he'll be put behind the bars. It's very likely, but how likely is that for you?
Well, this is, first of all, it's a factual news that their court has decided to ban the former Prime Minister of Pakistan, Imran Khan, for 5 years from contesting elections, and it is likely that he will be convicted and he may actually have to serve a term. I don't know. But how likely is the question? Well, likelihood is very high because there is a history. India and Pakistan, both again, freedom, 75 years. The first Prime Minister of India was Jawaharlal Nehru.
Yes.
He remained the Prime Minister of our country for 17 years. During those 17 years, Pakistan saw 7 or 8 Prime Ministers. So they were changing Prime Minister every year and a half. There was political instability. So what happens to all those people who lose elections or go out of power? So most of them are either put behind bars or sent to exile, and some of them have been hanged or assassinated. So if you go by that evidence, if you go by purely that evidence, then I think the likelihood is very high.
Okay. And agreeing to your point, the next question that actually jumps up in my mind is that I would want you to compare both these neighboring countries on the basis of their progress throughout these past 75 years.
Well, I think we have already compared the progress. I mean, again, we are way ahead, but the question which probably is more relevant is why.
Yes.
India had deficient resources, very large population, a very long famine just a few years before the independence in Bengal. And yet we have done so well. That I think needs to be examined. So the answer to that question is, I think the traditional Indian wisdom, our culture, our heritage, continues to tell us that living well is the best revenge.
Okay.
We are never poking, our nose, meddling into the affairs of our neighbors.
No doubts, sir.
Our focus is we should do well.
Correct.
That is Indian wisdom.
Okay.
That we are not meddlesome. We want to focus on doing well. Our country has progressed. It's a testimony to the traditional Indian values, where even today, the businesses are dominated by certain sects, certain communities, because they have a certain acumen, very strong acumen to conduct business in an ethical, innovative manner.
Yeah.
So you could see that there are certain small communities. They dominate business across India as well. It is because they have developed that efficiency over generations. That is the reason number one.
Okay.
Reason number two, I think our Indians are great leaders. Be it Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Jawaharlal Nehru, or Lal Bahadur Shastri, or in recent times, our leaders have created institutions which are very strong, which have stayed, and which have really brought stability.
Correct.
On the contrary, in our neighboring country, the institutions are, very largely superfluous.
Correct.
And the institutions are not very strong. So therefore, we have continued steadily. And finally, very, very important reason why. Our leaders never sold our country. The leadership of this nation is so great that they would not take $1 trillion or $2 trillion to sell off our independence stance. And that is the difference between India and Pakistan, because Pakistan sold off its neutral stance way back in 50s in favor of one particular party of the two bipolar world, and they are suffering even today. They have largely no independent stance on any major matter.
Correct. And adding to this, sir, since you're the Director of IIM Rohtak, I would want you to just give a small tip to the audience out there that that secret mantra to get success. As you said that there was a secret mantra or important things behind we being successful. So what is that mantra that you would want to give to the audience?
Well, I think first of all, I would go by I'm always going for the traditional.
Okay.
The traditional ways, I think respect your parents. They have your best interest in their hearts. Number two, read. Reading is a dying phenomena. People don't read as much. I think reading is very, very important. And finally, I think in order to succeed, I think individuals must be it's 100% certainty. I think they must have clarity of conviction.
Thank you very much, sir. It was really great having you on the show, and I hope I could get some more knowledge in future as well.
Thank you, Ankusha, for stopping by.
Thank you.